Roberts on the keeper to the right side. He is going to take that into the end zone for a Hornets touchdown.
Manchester. Yes, sir. Crazy. Come on, 46 hip on Manchester.
Yeah.
You see that coming?
I knew coming into practice this game was personal. This game was very personal. It's a rivalry game. We just wanted to work together as a team to be able to achieve this goal that we had.
Down the middle.
He's like one of the best quarterbacks in the state. I wish I could have gotten him into the playoffs and got him into the postseason so he could see the feeling. But Draven leaves everything on the field every practice, every game. Great kid, 3.7 GPA kid. I love the kid to death. He's like a superstar.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be in this position. God put me in this position. I'm just grateful to be the athlete that I am, the player that I am. I'm grateful to have this amazing team. I put it all on the line every game, every year. I'm out of words, really.
You know, we thought we were a great team. We knew what we had. We know we have weapons. We have speed. We have big boys up front that can hit. And we knew we could come out and play hard. We'll win this game by a landslide, and that's what we did.
But these guys, these seniors, every one of them that started finished. No one quit. And they had a lot of reasons to quit. You know, we were 1-9, 2-8, 2-8. You know, we played games with 16 kids. The program was decimated, and these guys brought it back.
You know, a lot of hard work came over the past couple years, and man, I don't even know. I feel great. You know, it's a blessing, man. That's all I can say.
We got to flip the switch like that. We got to flip it real quick. We got a short window to prepare. Okay, so we got to flip this switch real quick.
Hey, it was a 4-game playoff. You're 3 for 3. Let's be 4 for 4.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Meat Grinder, your weekend dose of high school football in Connecticut. And I am your host, Sean Patrick Bowley. Pete is off this week, so I'm flying solo, but welcome to the season finale, the regular season finale, Thanksgiving episode where we break down and try and pick not all, but 20 games that are going off this Thanksgiving Day week. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get started. I'm bringing on this week two of our pickers, Scott Erickson and Dave Stewart, who are going to help me pick the show this week and see if we can catch up to our bosses in the annual Pick'em Podcast showdown. We'll see how that goes, but join us for that. But at the top of the show, you saw just what makes this last week and change so special in Connecticut. Draven Roberts of East Hartford, whose team has been struggling all year to make waves in the Class LL race, couldn't get it done. But in their final regular season game, Roberts, who's one of the best players in the state, goes off he has a hand in 7 touchdowns as the Hornets crushed Manchester, playoff-bound Manchester, 46-0. He had a hand in 7 TDs, and he locked down their best receiver, Joe McGovero of Manchester, as Manchester goes in the playoffs, but East Hartford can go out as winners, and that is what this week is all about. Just an amazing performance by East Hartford. You heard a little bit from him. You heard a little bit from their coach, Benny Foles, and then on the other night, Saturday afternoon, East Haven played Hill House in a game they absolutely needed to keep their playoff hopes alive in Class M and knock Hill House off. They were down 18-14 after 3 quarters, but East Haven quarterback Alex Dombrowski led the Yellow Jackets back with 2 touchdowns in the final quarter. First, he threw a 21-yard touchdown pass to Dante Rodriguez on 4th down to put East Haven up, and then busted loose 71 yards for the clinching score, and an absolutely delirious East Haven coach Scott Benoit addressing his troops afterward. We were dead last year. We've been dead since the pandemic. We are finally back. The program is finally back. They are 6-3. Can they beat Brantford to get into the state playoffs? A lot has to happen. We're going to break that all down for you in just a minute. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment and say all nice things about us if you love what we do here on GameTimeCT. It really helps. We appreciate it. Wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, don't forget to give us some props because we love what we do. We want to keep doing it. So, all right, that's a mouthful, and there's lots to get to. It's a long show, a jam-packed show, but what everyone needs to know right now, we have two things. We're going to get to the top 10. Not a lot happened there. Let's just jump to it right now. Number 10 is Fairfield Prep. They play host to number 9 West Haven at Raftery Stadium in a game to determine Class L seeding. Number 8 is Staples. They play Thursday versus Greenwich in a game that also will decide Class L seeding. Number 7 is Brookfield. They play Wednesday night versus rival Bethel, which is trying to get into the playoff itself. Brookfield is already in. It's one of the top seeds in Class M, but some seeding and some other considerations there for as well, especially Bethel that needs to win to get in. Number 6 is Newtown. They play arch rival Masuk Wednesday at Benedict Field in Monroe for a chance to be one of the top seeds in Class L. Masuk, also in Class M, needs a win there to get one of the few home games remaining. Number 5 is Greenwich. As we mentioned, plays Staples Thursday. They already have clinched a first-round game in Class L, but this could determine whether they're the number 1 seed. Number 4 is New Canaan. They play number 3 Darien in the Turkey Bowl Thursday morning with a chance to be the top seed in Class L. Number 2 is Hand. They are playing Guilford in their annual game at Guilford's Kavanaugh Field with a chance to be the top seed in Class M. And the only team that played from the top 10 this week was Windsor, which was tied with rival Bloomfield 0-0 at halftime, but roared past the Warhawks in the second half to defeat them 20-0 and complete a 10-0 undefeated season. So, Windsor, 21 first place votes. Hand gets 1. The Warriors are 10-0 going in. They can just kind of sit back and see where everybody lands. But right now, they're looking like the top seed in Class M. And let's get to the playoff scenarios. That's what everyone is here for. Now, if you're new here, here's how this works. You get 100 points per victory, and then you get 10 points for every win by the opponents that you defeated. Those are called bonus points. If you're a smaller school, a SS or a MM, you get 10 points for beating a team that's one class category above you, or you can get 30 points for beating a team that's 2 class categories above you. If I'm a Class S or SS school and I defeat a L school, I'll get 30 extra points. Then we have your strength of schedule modifier, which was added in 2021. And that is you get 5 points for every win by all of the opponents on your schedule, regardless of whether you beat them or not. So, once you get the total points, you divide it by the number of games played. The top 8 point average per class qualifies for the state playoff. Starting up at Class L, Greenwich, Fairfield Prep are the only 2 teams here that have secured home quarterfinals. Staples and West Haven, which play Greenwich and Fairfield Prep respectively, can also get quarterfinal games with victories on Thanksgiving. Obviously, those top 4 teams have the inside track on the top 4 seeds. Glastonbury probably can maybe squeeze in there if a lot doesn't go West Haven's way in a loss. But otherwise, Glastonbury, New Britain, Manchester locking down the next 3 spots. TBA on their seeding. It's going to come down to bonus points. That leaves Trumbull. Win and in is the order for the day for the Eagles, which are 5-4, just hanging on. They need to beat St. Joseph on Thanksgiving. Otherwise, it'll open the door for Kennedy. The Eagles can earn their school's first CIAC playoff berth by beating Crosby on Thanksgiving Day. Failing that, it'll open the door for, yes, NFA to possibly get in if the Wildcats beat New London on Thanksgiving. So In order, it goes Trumbull winning in. If not, then Kennedy winning in. And if not, then NFA winning in. And if none of that happens, then Trumbull will probably get the last spot regardless. It's that crazy at the bottom there. Remember, this is where Fairfield Prep qualified last year at 4 and 6. So there is Class Double L. Moving on to Class L, a lot simpler here as well. Naugatuck, New Canaan, Newtown, Darien have locked down home quarterfinals. Newtown and the winner of New Canaan Darien has a chance to get a home semifinal as well, but Naugatuck could obviously possibly get the top seed by defeating Ansonia. Amity also qualifying for the first time since 2007, I believe. The Spartans beating Masuk, finishing 8-2. They don't play North Haven this year. That series has ended. So now the Spartans and new coach George French can just sit back and watch the carnage unleashed below them. Also winning in, Fairfield Ludlow defeating Ward on Thanksgiving will put them at 8-2 and put the Falcons into their first state playoff berth. And then after that, it kind of falls apart. Notre Dame West Haven, Maloney, and Fitch would be fighting for the last 2 playoff spots. And all of them right now need to win to at least get into position and then hope enough bonus points come through for them. Fitch does have a advantage on the other 2, but that's only its max. Who knows what's going to happen here? So you're going to be doing a lot of scoreboard watching on Thanksgiving morning. Moving on to Class Double M, this is the tough one. Windsor obviously is your top seed, the number 1 ranked. Warriors are 10-0 after defeating Bloomfield with a nice second half. They get to sit back and watch who gets to join them in this class. And already we know that Newington at 9-0 is in. Bristol Central at 8-1 is in. Northwest United clinched. They are 9-0. They are in. Torrington 8-1 is in. Masuk at 7-2 is in. TBA on where those eyes all line up. But right now, Newington, Bristol Central, and even Northwest United have the inside track here on getting the other home quarterfinals. Possibly, some mix-up there. If Newington loses, for example, opens the door for Torrington and Masuk and so on. Winning in Bunnell, they play Stratford, which is 1-8. It's probably going to happen. So we move down to Wethersfield for that last spot. 8-1. Can you believe it? Kind of hanging on here. If they beat Newington, however, we're 9-0. That'll be plenty enough to get Wethersfield into the state playoffs. Failing that, it opens the door for Holy Cross with a win over Wolcott. And Bethel maybe even getting a shot here, but the Wildcats have to upset Brookfield on Thanksgiving Eve. If Bethel does that, they will leapfrog Holy Cross. But again, Wethersfield must win to get in. Otherwise, that's the only chance Holy Cross and Bethel have in this division. So that's Class Double M, a real tough one there. Over in Class M, Hand 9-0, one of the top 2 seeds. Brookfield 9-0, one of the top 2 seeds. Obviously, Hand plays Guilford and Brookfield plays Bethel on Thanksgiving Eve. The winners, if they win those games, they will be the 1-2. We'll see where the bonus points line up to give who gets the top seed and not. Maybe Hand, I think. Also, Brookfield and Watertown, they are in with Berlin, which wrapped up its season 7-3 with a win over Middletown. Rockville plays Ellington and Watertown plays Torrington. If those 2 teams win their games, they will get also one of the quarterfinal home games. They control their own destiny. If not, then that might leave the door open for Berlin to get one of them, or even St. Joseph with a win over Trumbull. St. Joseph, of course, needs to beat Trumbull to get in. They're 6-3. If they don't do that, they're not quite out with a loss, but they fall back into this scrum of teams that are jockeying for position as we go down the final stretch here. Quinnebog Valley plays Thames River, Law plays Foreign, New London plays NFA, and East Haven plays Brantford, and North Haven plays Shelton. Boy, is it which Shelton could give it some more points. And then Lyman Hall is also mathematically alive. Don't ask me how. But all those teams need to win and get a lot of help. And we're going to be scoreboard watching all day Wednesday and even into Thursday to see who gets what here. It's a little convoluted. Stay with GameTimeCT, and we'll figure it all out for you as the week progresses. Class SS, a little more straightforward. Killingly is the top seed at 9-0, regardless of what happens if they beat Woodstock Academy or not. Wyndham also has a home quarterfinal. And then you go down to Bullard Havens, which finished its season. They're 7-3. Nice comeback for Derek Lewis's guys. Sheehan also in at 7-2, and Waterford in at 7-2. Just barely, but they are in. Just barely out, but probably likely getting in as well as Granby Canton at 7-2. That leaves 2 spots for 4 teams. Ledyard plays Fitch. Ellington plays Rockville. Both tough games. Tolland plays E.O. Smith, and Foreign plays Law on Thanksgiving. Tolland, I believe, plays the night before, so we'll know where this stands a little bit earlier. But it all comes down to if Ledyard and Ellington win, though, that'll wrap it up, and it'll doom Tolland and Foreign. One team loses, it'll help Tolland and or Foreign. I think Foreign beating Law will be in a better spot. But failing that, then Tolland will probably need Ellington to lose to Rockville. So none of those are out of the realm of possibilities. Certainly Fitch and Rockville can beat those teams. So that is what Tolland and Foreign is praying for. If only one wins and the other loses, then Tolland and Foreign are going to be jockeying for a position. That'll be really tough. And finally, Class S Capital Prep 10-0 is one of the top 2 seeds. Ansonia can join them at 10-0. They'll probably maybe even leapfrog over them. We'll see how the bonuses come in. And Cromwell Portland also has a home quarterfinal. Bloomfield ends its season 7-3. Not bad considering they are in. And East Catholic at 8-1 is in. Then it comes down to 3 spots. Haddam Killingworth plays Valley Regional Old Lyme. Woodland plays Seymour. And Northwest Catholic plays East Catholic. If any of those teams win, they will clinch a playoff spot. HK plays Valley, of course, and Valley's knocking on the door. A Valley win over HK likely will put Valley over HK and maybe even to get a playoff spot. Also, Northwest Catholic is no guarantee against East Catholic. So any of those teams up top, HK, Woodland, and Northwest Catholic lose, it'll open the door for Valley, Waterbury, Career Academy, and Stonington. But obviously, all 3 of those teams need to win. Waterbury Career plays Willoughby. That's not going to be too tough for them, I don't think. And Stonington plays Westerly, Rhode Island, which wiped them out last year. So Valley right now in good shape. You've got to beat HK at HK on Tuesday night, and then kind of pray to see how the bonus works out. And then if East Catholic loses, that'll really help Valley. So there you go. That is where we stand in the state playoff race. It's a little bit convoluted. Make sure you go to GameTimeCT.com. We break it all down for you, and we'll break it down for you throughout the week. So that is where we are. Again, lots of these final points will come down to just beating your opponent on Thanksgiving. There are a few spots, Class MM in particular, that will require a lot of scoreboard watching to see where the bonus points land. Again, we'll have it all for you on GameTimeCT.com throughout the week. Keep checking that out. So, with all that said, we get to your favorite part of the show and mine, the pick'ems for the 2024 Thanksgiving week extravaganza. As I mentioned, no Pete this week, but I did bring on 2 of our prognosticators. One of them is in first place. That is Dave Stewart. And the other one, as he said off the air a little bit ago, he's representing the bottom half, and that is Scott Erickson right now. But it's a tight race, guys. How you doing? Welcome to the Pick'ems podcast. Your first time on here, football-wise. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just here to represent and try to have a human beat the 8-ball. I'm holding on. The 8-ball's coming for me, but I'm going to hold them off this year.
We have a defending champ. Are you the defending champ, Dave?
No, Will is. Will Oldham is. Will kind of lurks behind everybody like he is right now, and overtakes everyone in the playoffs. So, looking forward to that happening again.
But Dave is a champ, a former champ. So
yeah,
we
here we go.
We've
got my 8-ball trophy right here from 2022.
There it is.
It's represented here.
That is at stake today. So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Let's actually take a look at these standings here. Last week, kind of a mixed bag. Everyone kind of at the 7-3 mark. I went 7-3. Our boss, Dan Brecklin, went 7-3. Brian Carpenter, Fornabio, McNamee, and Joe Morelli, 7-3, marching up the standings. Pete also went 7-3. Dave Stewart, Scott Harrison, you guys went 6-4 to kind of fall back here. Our other boss, Sean Barker, not a good week. He was leading for most of the year, 5-5. He drops back, and then Carl Adamick went 4-6 with the 8-ball. Just a terrible week by the 8-ball. He must be sleeping. 2-8. Here are the standings. Breckland 78-32, tied with Dave Stewart 78-32, neck and neck going down to the final stretch. Morelli 1 game back at 77-33. Goodness, he's making a move. We're tied. Me and my boss Sean Barker tied for 4th here at 76-34. Then it goes Will Oldham, as you said, Dave, lurking at 75-35. 4-0 Pete are 74-36. Carpenter and Erickson and McNamee 71-39. Carl Adamick 65-45 in the 8 ball, a reverse of that, 45-65. Guys, we got 20 games to get through. So let's just kind of get through this right now and kind of get everybody out of here as we go to Thanksgiving week. Going to be a crazy week. Hopefully these games are going to stay where they are, but we got a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, they got a lot of, it could be some snow/rain in the forecast. And you know how school administrators get when it's so by the time you watch this, the games could be all moved all over the place. So, but we're going to start off at Wednesday night, the Principals Cup, Valley Regional Old Lyme at Haddon-Killingworth. This is a really good series. Usually the one that always kicks us off. Last year didn't really mean too much, but this year, playoffs abound. HK needs to win to get in. Valley Regional needs a win and some hope. It's a very good game. Dave, we'll start with you. Who are you picking in this one, this Pequot battle, HK and Valley Regional?
Well, as Jeff Jacobs once said, the further east we go, the more my picks become kind of strange. But anyway, I'm looking at HK's got the history behind them. They're both playing for a playoff spot, but I'm going to go with Haddon-Killingworth in this one.
What about you, Scott? What do you got?
Look, Haddon-Killingworth lost to Cromwell. They scored 86 points since then in their last 2 games. Valley's a good team, but I think Joe Slane, our guy Tyler Napier-Kowski, one of the great names in the league, those guys are going to have a great day. I think this is HK's day.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Listen, Valley Regional's Tommy Troy, great receiver. He's been really great for them all year. Geo Winters as well at quarterback, but really tough spot for Valley. It is at HK on that grass. It's going to be weird. It's going to be like a permafrost. But I'm going to go with HK too. Valley Regional, I should mention, does lead the all-time series 33-11. So
we could get a mud bowl here. We could get a nice mud bowl.
It could be. This is on Tuesday night though, so
we'll
see how that goes. Moving over to Wednesday night, Newington at Wethersfield, a massive game in the grand scheme of the Class L playoffs. Newington 9-0, donuts all year long, shutouts left and right, and Wethersfield has been right with them. Crazy enough about this game. This game, Newington came in 1-8, and Wethersfield came in 0-9. Now it's the reverse, basically. Newington is 9-0. Wethersfield is 8-1. We heard about our guy, Enzo Corvino from Newington, Evan Piggott, Aiden Bengtson's had a great game for them. So a good group for John Aquavita's club at Wethersfield, Matt McKinnon's club, as we mentioned, 0-9 last year, or 0-10, I should say. They lost this game. They were 0-10 last year. So, but Cam Ridgey's back at quarterback, and they've been really good. That one blip on their schedule was the Bristol Central fumble. Was it not a fumble? Touchdown that was called back, and Wethersfield ended up losing that game. They need to win to get in. Let's start off with you this time, Scott. Who do you got?
The best Thanksgiving games are the games where both teams can make the playoffs. This one's really kind of crazy because Newington's defense is so good, like you mentioned, and Wethersfield's offense is so good. When in doubt, we always take the defense, so I'm going to go with the defense. I'm going with Newington here, the Nor'easters.
David,
I'm gonna buck the trend here with Scott. I'm going with Wethersfield in this one. I know Newington is going for, I believe it's their first undefeated regular season since 1979, and so we're looking at a long time for them. The defense has been great this year. But I'm going with my gut right here. Right? I just feel like Wethersfield, wins and clinches that playoff spot.
Dave, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you too. I think Wethersfield's they feel the pinch here. They can feel the teams behind them waiting to take that last Class L spot. I think they pull this one off. I mean, they've been sitting there stewing all weeks about that Bristol Central game. They should have won it probably. But, Newington does lead this series 26-20, but and won. There's been one tie. But I'm going to also go with Wethersfield in this to get into the Class L. All right, excuse me. I said Class L. It's the Class Double M playoffs. That is what is at stake here. Now, Wethersfield is also, Newington is also in the Class M, Double M playoffs. So these teams, if things work out, they could meet again. So you could be seeing this game down the road. But Double M is the playoffs here. Wethersfield, if they don't win this game, they're in big trouble, as mentioned. Moving on over to Northwest Catholic versus East Catholic. The Catholic Bowl up in it's being played at Cheney Tech in Manchester, just around the corner from East Catholic. Listen, East Catholic has been a darling team all year, led by Joey Montalvo, who's been just absolutely ridiculous, pulling games out of his rear end. He's been great, but we haven't talked a heck of a lot about Northwest Catholic. I mean, David Calandrillo of their inside linebacker, running back, Vinny Burbank, the junior quarterback, has been good. Kate Davis, they've been right under the radar. Only one loss more than East, 7-2. They need to win to get in the Class S playoff spot race. The East Catholic also is already in, and they're looking to get a home game. So that is where we stand here. Scott, we'll start with you. East Catholic, is Joey Montalvo going to be is going to run all over Northwest, or are they going to beat their rivals?
I don't know if he'll run all over them, but I think East Catholic's going to win this game. I think East Catholic's defense is a little bit better, especially those DBs. Montalvo's one of them. Chris Morales, Andrew DeLauro. I think they just have a really solid defense. I think they're going to pull this one out. We'll see if Northwest Catholic can still make states. Who knows? I'm not good at math. That's for you guys to figure out, but I'll go with East Catholic here.
Well, they'll be in with a win for sure. Dave, this series is tied 4-4. Who wins it?
Yeah, both of these teams, I feel like we haven't really talked a ton about them this year. Between them, they've only have 3 losses, and they both are in position for playoff spots. So I just feel like in games like this, when you get down to it, if you have the best player on the field, you're gonna win. Joey Montalvo's it. I'm gonna go with East Catholic.
Yeah, I cannot argue with that. I've actually seen East Catholic this year. They beat Tolland in a thriller. They've been here all year. I'm going to also go with East Catholic. Moving on over to Northwest United, playing host to Abbott Tech Immaculate. This is Northwest United's last CTC game. I don't know where they're going after this, but they're being jettisoned from the league and against a team that they had a little issues with last year. Abbott Tech, if you recall, got really mad about some possible shenanigans. We don't really know what really happened there, but then they turned around and beat them on Thanksgiving week, and then they turned around and beat them in the playoffs next week. So Northwest United looking for a little payback here on their way out the door of the CTC. They have been great this year, Northwest United. Did I say Northwest? I've been calling them Northwest Catholic. Northwest United has been great this year, 9-0. Cheney kind of took them to task last week, but they've been able to get into position and clinch a Class Double M playoff spot. Abbott Tech Immaculate needs this game to get into the Class L playoffs, and it's going to need a little bit of help. Northwest United leads this series 2-1. It's a very young series, but who we start with? Dave, I'm going to start with you, right? What do you got? ATI won this game twice last year. Will they do it again?
Yeah, but by the way, Thanksgiving week is good for the shenanigans. That's what it's all about. But last year Northwest United's kind of been like this the last couple of years. I believe they were undefeated 2 years ago. They were undefeated going into the Thanksgiving game last year. ATI kind of took them out twice in a row. It was just a brick wall for them. I think Northwest United this year is a little better. ATI's kind of slid back a little bit. They're still 6-3. But I feel like Northwest United is going to complete that undefeated season, regular season anyway. I don't know what that means for the playoffs, but hey, you take 10-0 if you can get it.
Scott, what do you got for us?
Yeah, ATI's had the tougher schedule. I don't think there's any question about that. But since opening day, Northwest United no one's been within 14 points of them. They've been smashing teams. I think they're going to continue that trend, and they're going to win this game. And like you said, get a little bit of revenge. Those kids had to be stung by that last year and kind of carry that with them all season. I I think it'll be a close game, but Northwest United here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Listen, Reed Warner's been great for them. So is Davian Joe and RJ Barksdale. They've been really good for Northwest. Like you said, I think last year kind of left a bitter taste in their mouth. Now they finally get a little chance to get a little payback here, and they'll go into the playoffs 10-0. We'll see what happens there. That's double M. Moving on to Wednesday night down at Raftery Stadium, the lacrosse field. As Rich Bochet from West Haven said, that basically that ridiculous field they got there. I don't disagree with them. It's tough to play on, and it's a real tough spot if you're a visitor team. Obviously, West Haven though 8-1. They've won 8 straight since losing the opener to Greenwich. Fairfield Prep lost its second game to hand in a rout, but they've been equally as good down the stretch. They have won 7 straight. This is a game that both teams are already in the state playoffs, but there are some seeding considerations. You got Fairfield Prep they already have a home game, but try to stay away from West Haven as far as possible. Same thing for West Haven. Look, we all know about West Haven. Nick Conlon, Kadir Dembele, they're great D linemen. Corian Harris has come on at running back. And on the other side, you have Fairfield Prep. Nathan Frey, the linebacker, tremendous all-stater. You got Finbar Malloy, another great all-stater at receiver. And Robert Manning, the quarterback, has just been outstanding. Let's go with who's first this time? Scott, we'll go with you. What do you got? West Haven.
Yeah, look, I think these are both teams that can win the Double L state championship. This is a fantastic, maybe the game of the day. I don't know. New Canaan, Darien, Staples, Greenwich, we'll see. West Haven's just on fire right now, and I don't see them slowing down here at all. Prep's having a great year. Prep's got a great defense and can stop West Haven, but I'm going with the Westies in this one.
Dave, what do you got?
I saw Fairfield Prep play North Haven a couple of weeks ago and come back from that 15-point deficit and behind Manning looked awesome at quarterback in the comeback. Finbar Malloy was crazy good. West Haven's playing just so well right now after winning that first game or after losing that first game. It's kind of like the reverse of last year when they beat Staples on opening day and then Staples went the rest of the way and won. I'm going to go with West Haven in this one.
Wow.
It's a gut feeling. These are both two good teams, and it's one of a few games on the schedule this week that we could see a rematch in the playoffs. So this could be chapter 1 in this case.
Yeah, well, we get a lot of those nowadays. But I'm kind of stunned. I'm picking Fairfield Prep. I have West Haven ranked in my top 10 all year, and Prep after they lost the hand, I kind of fell off the bandwagon a little bit, but they've been playing so great. And that victory over North Haven, the comeback, really showed what this team is made of. I like Prep. I mean, they haven't lost this game since 2016. And West Haven does lead the all-time series 17-11 on Thanksgiving, I should at least say. Fairfield Prep won this last year to get into the playoffs famously at 4-6. They're not 4-6 this time. It's a really good team. They're one of the best teams in the state. I think I'm going to go with the Jesuits. Moving over to Monroe on Wednesday night. Benedict Stadium, Newtown versus Masuk in one of the craziest Thanksgiving night games. It never goes the way you think. Obviously, Newtown unbeaten. Jaden Taylor, Ryan Schofstall quarterback. They absolutely demolished Bunnell a few weeks ago. Bunnell, a team that beat Masuk, remember, 21-0. On the other side, you got Masuk, their great linebacker, Nick Fox, Gavin Walker, and Shane Walker twins. Aaron Champagne, the quarterback, probably he got hurt against Rick at the end of the Brookfield game in that a 28-14 loss. Masuk's already in. I wouldn't be shocked not to see Aaron Champagne not play in this. But Masuk's going to bring it. It's on their turf. They won this game 42-20 last year to ruin kind of Newtown's going into the playoffs. But what do you got? Who's first? Dave, we're going to go with you. Who do you got? Newtown versus Masuk.
I've been kind of burned by the SWC games this year in my picks because I saw Masuk beat New Canaan and then the next week lose to get shut out by Bunnell. But when I was doing my by the numbers this week, I looked at this. The home team has not won this game since Newtown did it in 2018. So the road team has had a trend going right now. I love Jaden Taylor. I think Ryan Schofstall's looked awesome. Masuk's been solid. They look good against New Canaan that week, but I just feel like Newtown's got a little too much for them. I'm going to go with Newtown.
All right, Scott, what do you got? Newtown Masuk.
Look, we know it's going to be an emotional day. Steve Christie's last Thanksgiving, all that. Up at Masuk, they're going to be loving all that stuff. There's going to be a lot of emotion for Masuk, which goes a long way. I think the Nighthawks are too deep, too good. The defense is so solid. The offense comes at you in all different kinds of ways. I really like Newtown this year, and I think they're going to win this game too.
Yeah, 100%. I'm on Team Newtown here, especially if Champaign can't go. But Masuk did not show me really much in that Brookfield game. Their offense just basically disappeared in the second half. Granted, Brookfield's defense very good. Too bad we don't get Newtown Brookfield in the SWC Championship game, which would have been played last week had this been 10 years ago. But I digress. Moving over to Thanksgiving morning. Not a ton of games in the CCC, but this one always packs them in at Muzzy Field. Now, they all play their own fields, but then for this game, they keep it at Muzzy, which I think is tremendous. The whole town comes out. Bristol Central versus Bristol Eastern in the battle for the bell. Bristol Central won this game last year, 14-7, kind of in a stunner. But Bristol, was it a stunner? I don't really remember now. But they did win this game last year. They also lead the all-time series, 39-23-2. But and have been great all year. This is their best season since Victor Rosa was on, took them to the playoffs a few years ago. You have Donovan Rodriguez at quarterback. Jack Hartley's been really good at running back. They beat Wethersfield, remember? Their only loss, I forget who they lost to now. It was Windsor.
Newington.
Oh, it was Newington. Oh, right.
Newington.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, Newington, which hasn't lost yet in that division, the CCC Division 3. Eastern started off hot, but then kind of fell off a little bit. They've got Randy Donato at TEDE. You have Alex Cordo, quarterback and linebacker. They've been decent, and I think they're going to be in this game. But again, this is for kind of seeding for Bristol Central in the Class Double M race. Not really a lot to spoil here, but I'm sure they're going to want to do that anyway. What do you got? Let's go with you, Dave. What do you think in the battle for the bell?
Well, these are the type of games that are really great about Thanksgiving week. When you get these two town rivals getting together and just going head to head. So you never know. That being said, Bristol Central has looked really great this year behind Rodriguez and Hartley, and just I don't know. They've had the better season. The one loss is to a really, really great team that's having a great season. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one.
Scott, Bristol Eastern hasn't won this game in 8 tries. The last 8 tries. Can they pull it off this time?
I don't think so. Bristol Eastern's been solid, but they struggled against Newington. They struggled against Wethersfield. Like we said, Bristol Central's only loss was 14-7 to Newington. I like Donovan Rodriguez a lot. I like Bristol Central a lot. It's going to be a great environment. I think this is Central's year to continue the win streak against Bristol Eastern.
Ring that bell, baby. Ring that bell.
Ring the bell.
Right. Moving over down the road to Meriden, the Stoddard Bowl. Always a great game. Always wonderful. And these two teams hate each other. And it's at Falcon Field, of course, in Meriden, where they both play. The place is going to be packed. Platt kind of took itself out of the running here by losing its last game. Maloney has dominated pretty much recently. Well, I say recently, but they do lead the series 35-30-1. They won last year, 21-0 on the way to the playoffs. But, this Platt team has been crazy. They've got a great running back in Joel Ray. Michael Smith is pretty good at OL deal, and then you have Jesus Vasquez, who caught the walk-off touchdown against Berlin. And then, obviously, the quarterback, Austin Stanish, sophomore, has led them back so many times this year. There's been at least three games. They were down double digits. Captain comeback. And but against the Maloney team that played New Canaan, they played Staples. They were close for Staples. They got routed by New Canaan in the opener. But, their schedule's been ridiculous. Jesus Martell, one of the best receivers in the state. You have Donald Highsmith at running back. You have Messiah. You have Jesus on one side, Messiah on the other. Messiah Abrahanti. And then you got Ethan Udinsky at quarterback. Just some star-studded rosters here. Let's go with you, Scott. The Stoddard Bowl. Maloney needs to win to get in. Can Platt spoil their Thanksgiving dinners?
I mean, they can. But look, Maloney's played the toughest schedule in the state. I don't think there's any debate about that. A win here gets them into L. They can salvage the whole season. Everything starts over again. They might even get a shot at New Canaan again in the first round of the playoffs. I think Maloney's going to be so fired up to, let's say, like, look, things have gone up and down for us, but we win here. We're in the playoffs. Everything is wiped clean, and we're starting fresh. And I think they're going to come out and win this game against Platt.
Dave, what do you got, Starter Bowl?
Imagine being a number 1 or 2 seed in the L, and there's Maloney pulling into your parking lot for the opening round. I feel like they were left for dead early on after losing to some, especially after losing to, I believe it was New Britain. Now they've been playing really well lately. They've gotten themselves back into position. I don't think they passed that chance up. I'm going with Maloney to make the playoffs again, and another rematch with New Canaan for the 3rd straight year would be phenomenal.
No, don't tempt fate. Those two have been going at it for sure. I am also going to go with Maloney. I think they've just been the better team all season long, and they're pretty fired up to get a second chance, Dave. Going down over to the eastern Connecticut portion of the state, we've got one of the all-time great matchups, New London at NFA. Two teams, we haven't talked anything about New London. NFA, we talked about, but only kind of snicker at how they were getting smoked. But here they are, guys, with a chance to go to the state playoffs. If things break their way, they're going to need some teams above them like Trumbull to lose and Kennedy to lose. It's an outside shot, but you know what? After the way they started, they get smoked the first few games, they will take it. New London has come on late here. Just a very fascinating matchups. NFA leads 81-69-11, but New London won last year's matchups 35-13. Of course, Dylan Schloss, the new head coach at NFA, coming over from Ellington. He's got them going in the second half. Guys, let's go with you, Scott. NFA, New London, what do you got?
Man, New London's offense looks like it can be scary good at times, and then it kind of goes away at times, too. If NFA can just keep this one close through like 3 quarters, I think they have a really good shot to win this game. They're like you said, they're playing for something, and it's totally reasonable that those teams ahead of them in L could lose. It's not out of the question, and they could be in the playoffs. I think NFA's played really much better the second half of the season, and I like NFA.
Wow.
This game.
Dave, what do you got?
I'm looking for the stream of the 1800s game, and I can't find it. So I'm a little disappointed by that. But I'm gonna go. I'm going the opposite from Scott. I just feel like both teams right now have a shot to get into the playoffs. I don't know. My gut feeling is New London's got a little too much for NFA. But honestly, when you got a 5-4 team and a 4-5 team, I could see this really going either way. But I'm gonna go with the Whalers.
Yeah, me too. I think New London played a little bit better this game, but like you said, who the heck knows? We'll see how it works out. Maybe NFA gets a little motivation knowing that they have a shot at the playoffs. New London, same deal. You never know what happens these games. That's why they're so great. Moving up the road a little bit, we go to Dorfield and Groton. Another great Thanksgiving Day game. Ledyard at Fitch. Both teams need a win to get in. Ledyard in the Class SS playoffs. You got Fitch in Class L on the outside looking in, but either if they lose, both teams are going to be in big trouble. AJ Adamek for Ledyard has been great. He got injured midway through the season as they hit the skids a little bit. They lost 3 straight, but they've come back on to get back into the position. Fitch, another team that really took a while to find its way, did not do great in its alliance games. Finally, though, did beat Simsbury to kind of get things going. They actually beat NFA to get into this spot by 1 point. Really interesting, but it's a great game. Ledyard leads 10-9 on Thanksgiving. Fitch won last year 33-0. But Ledyard basically said last year they're going to run the North Haven single wing, and they've been running that pretty well. So, guys, that's a tough a tough offense to defend against. Fitch had to deal with it last year. I don't know. And they played North Haven in recent years, Fitch, so they know what's coming. Guys, well, let's see. Who we start with? Dave, we're going to start with you. The Battle of Colonel Ledyard's Sword. Who do you got?
This is another one of those games that's kind of tough to call. They both had high moments and both had low moments this year. I feel like Fitch right now is playing well. I mean, they lost to I believe it was Wyndham, a 1-point loss. Wyndham, a very good Wyndham team a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they just again, this is one of those games that could go either way. I'm looking at last year's result. Fitch took it in a shutout. Yeah, I'm going on past history and going to take Fitch in this one.
All right, Scott, what do you have?
Yeah, like you said, they both need this one, but Fitch needs it. I think Fitch has had the better season. I think Fitch is the deeper team. I think Fitch wins this game, and I think they win it by a decent margin too.
Interesting. I am also going with Fitch. I mean, I'm not as confident as you guys, though. I mean, I think Ledyard certainly can give them a run for their money in this one, but definitely, I'm going to go with Fitch though as well. I mean, like I said, I don't think they'll be surprised much by the single wing. They'll be ready for it. We turn the page. We go to the Dave Stewart Scott Erickson Bowl. New Canaan at Darien. Pay no attention to how these guys picked this game because Scott lives in New Canaan and Dave Stewart does a lot of stuff for New Canaan. Has been there for years covering them. So anyway, this is just an all-time classic. The Turkey Bowl, as they say, at Darien. Both are already in the state playoffs. Both are jockeying for position. The loser might get a lower seed. Hopefully they're not on the same side of the bracket, and maybe we get a rematch of last year's final. New Canaan leads the Thanksgiving Series 19-1. Last year they beat Darien up 31-17. In fact, Darien has not won since 2016, since Drew Pine's freshman year. He threw that pick off. And who was the Darien defensive back? I have a picture of him up there on the wall. What was his name? Number 9. He was the one who picked off Drew Pine. But
Finley.
Right? Oh yeah, that's right. Finley. Yeah. Finlay. He picked off an overtime to win that game. A classic. Darien hasn't won since. Who do you guys got in this game?
Who's going first?
Who's going first?
I'll go first. Look, this game's always weird when they think they're going to play each other in the States. You know, like, do you show everything? Do you leave some things, in the playbook a little bit? What do you do? Because there's a good chance that these teams see each other again. Having said that, New Canaan's defense is the best defense in the state. Darien's got a very talented team. Darien's got those big tight ends. They have a good quarterback and roll app. But I like New Canaan and their defense to beat Darien in this one.
David.
I absolutely hate picking this game, by the way, every year. It's awful.
No.
But, I've looked. Looking at the teams, you look at Darien. They've got Kevin Roche. They've got Charlie Tom. They got Ben Rollup throwing to them and everything, and they should be able to light it up against just about anybody. And New Canaan's defense can shut down just about anybody. And this one I've kind of been wrong a few times when I've tried to pick this game. So last few years I've just been going with the streak, and New Canaan's got that in their favor. So I'm going to go with New Canaan again here.
You talk about all those guys who've been really great for Darien, and one of the guys I think has been great, especially the few times I've seen, was Thomas Hergen. Everyone kind of forgets all about him. They talk about Kevin, they talk about Charlie, and they talk about Ben, they talk about all the guys on the defense, but Hergen's been great for them. He's been kind of like a workhorse, and everyone tries to stop the other guys. That said, like you said, Scott, I think New Canaan's defense is just phenomenal. It's carried them it's amazing. Last decade, it was all about offense. Michael Collins, Drew Pine going to play Division I football, whereas now it's like guys going to play in college. They're all defensive guys. So, it's carried them to 2 straight titles. I'm going to go with New Canaan to continue the streak here. I think they're going to win, even at Darien's turf. But, this is always just a great game. I would not be surprised if Darien wins this time around. But moving to another big one down in Fairfield County. This is an all-time great one, and now entering its 19th playing on Thanksgiving, but 20th year. I think 2004 was the first time they played on Thanksgiving. It's been going strong ever since. Staples playing host to Greenwich. 8-1, just like the Fairfield Prep West Haven game, jockeying for seeding in Class Double L. Greenwich already has at least a home game. A win can get Staples a home game too if they want it, but it's going to be really tough. Obviously, it's a thrilling game, one of the all-time great games. Like I said, Staples leads the Thanksgiving Series 10-8, and won last year's game 24-13. Greenwich was number 1 earlier in the season. Staples was number 1 last year. Doesn't have their quarterback, but basically has been really good defensively, and a few of their offensive guys have been good too. But let's start with you, Dave. Staples, Greenwich. What do you got?
Yeah, obviously Staples doesn't have Caleb Smith anymore, but Nick Wiles looked very good at quarterback this year at times, and they also have Davis Crandall on defense, who's just been playing phenomenally this year. I look at they each have one loss. I look at the loss. Greenwich lost by 3 to Wilton, and Staples lost to New Canaan. That's obviously, that's nothing to hang your head over, in the New Canaan's case. So, I just have this gut feeling Staples seems to be able to figure out a way to win their games, even if it's not as dominant as it was last year. They just figure out a way to win. So I'm going with the Wreckers here.
Scott.
Both these teams have struggled a little bit when they've played good teams to get their offense going. So I think whoever's going to be able to get that ball really churning, I think this is going to be a super tight back-and-forth game. I'm going to go with the Wreckers, like 21-17 kind of game. I'm going with Staples, though.
I'm going. I absolutely believe in their defense, guys. I am also going with the Wreckers to win this game and get a home game in the Class AA playoffs. It's going to be great. Class AA is going to be tremendous. Can't wait. Speaking of Class AA, let's go to the Rumble in Trumbull. Trumbull, despite all of its struggles this year, 5-4, still with a shot. Win to get in, to get that last spot in Class AA. They need to beat St. Joseph, a team that, they can beat. Clearly, St. Joe has also not been, dominant, but has been just a little bit better this year, 6-3. St. Joseph leads this Thanksgiving series 14-13. Won last year, though, and again, we thought they would win in a walk. They struggled to win that game. A few missed field goals and a lot of shenanigans. It was great over at McDougal Stadium. St. Joe won 10-7. Guys, do you think Morris and the Eagles can punch their tickets to the Class AA playoffs? Who's going this time? Let's go with you, Scott. The Rumble and Trumbull. Who do you got?
The Rumble and Trumbull. My nephew in the game, Cooper Erickson on Trumbull. I cannot believe that Trumbull has a chance to make the AA playoffs. I think that's going to really motivate them. Having said that, I think that the St. Joe's defense is just a little too good. They played really well against Staples. They played really well against Darien. They didn't take those games, but they played well. I think that they care. They want to get rolling heading into the States, and I think St. Joseph will take a very close physical game in this one.
What do you got? You got St. Joe to win?
I got St. Joe's. St. Joe's. Long story short.
Dave, who do you got?
Yeah, this is another one that's very interesting. I've seen St. Joe's play a couple of times, and the one thing about them is their defense has been really solid this year, but their offense has struggled at times. That cost them against Darien 14-0. Cost them against Staples, which I think Shane Sandrew said was the best 14-10 game he'd ever played in. That can cause some trouble. You let teams kind of hang around a little bit. That being said, I think the Hogs have just a little bit too much in this one for Trumbull, and I'm going with St. Joe's in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a sweep. I'm also going with the Hogs in this one. Just think that they've just been defensively a little bit better, and Trumbull really has a lot of trouble scoring. Maybe this is a 3-3 game or 6-3. We'll see. That does it for the Rumble and Trumbull. Let's move over up the valley. Naugatuck playing host to Ansonia. It took forever, it felt like, for somebody in the NBL to finally beat Ansonia after 10 years. And, of course, it's Naugatuck. Now they've beat Ansonia twice in the last 3 years. Crazy, but the Chargers have just been absolutely lights out. Quintez Whittle, running back. Aiden Mercer at great on the line. And then Red Romanowski, the big guy. Just an absolute delight to interact with on the field. Lots of other good dudes there on Ansonia. They're against a Naugatuck team that looked like they were once again in a collision course, undefeated like last year. It was an undefeated matchup like last year, but they did get kind of wiped out, by Woodland earlier. Ryan Diedelbaum has been great at running back for them. I have a bunch of other guys, but the Chargers going up there. Ansonia leads this series in a walk, basically, 77-36-10. Naugatuck did win last year in a rout, but this is not that Ansonia team. Dave, Ansonia looking to get a home game, not a home game, but the top seed in Class S. Naugatuck looking to get the top seed in Class L. Who do you got?
This game screams Thanksgiving football. By the way, this is really really good stuff. Naugatuck has the recent history, but Ansonia just seems to be one of those. If somebody goes down, the next man up is doing it for him. Quintez Whittle has looked great. Romanowski has looked awesome. I never want to say never in these games because these are just crazy to pick, but I think Ansonia gets it back this year.
Scott, Ansonia, will they finish 10-0?
I think they will. I think Ansonia's rolling. I know Naugie's got a chance to be a top seed or a top 2 seed in L, which would be great for them. I just don't think it's going to happen here today. I think Ansonia gets this one back and gets revenge for last year and wins this one.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Quintez Whittle, doing great. They lost their quarterback against Woodland in that shootout win, but Whittle just led them to victory by at least 2 scores. It was pretty wild. I think this team is on the march right now, so I am also going with Ansonia. We move back down Route 8 to Kennedy Stadium in Bridgeport. Harding versus Central, guys. Bridgeport Central hasn't won in 60 games, and Harding hasn't been as good this year, but certainly a couple victories under his belt, including Masuk. Guys, a Bridgeport Classic they've been playing for a century, 102. This is the 102nd meeting. Let's start with you, Dave. Harding Central, what do you got?
Yeah, it's another one that's kind of tough to pick. Harding's got the 2 wins though. They beat Masuk, they beat Wilbur-Cross this past weekend. You got to feel for Bridgeport Central. They haven't won in so long, but I just feel like Harding probably has a little bit too much for them this time. And actually, Harding has a shot to finish with a 2-game winning streak, which is something in this game.
Scott, you got Harding or Central? What do you got?
I mean, we'd all love to see Central get a W here, but I just think Harding's the better team this year. They have a great kid for the all-name team in Onavis O'Regan, and I think that Harding's going to take this one. I like the Presidents.
Yeah, I've actually seen Onavis O'Regan play, and he's a pretty good receiver. And I also like Presidents to win this one. They have, I think, they won last year's game 48-14. They lead the all-time series 59-38-4. I think they've won the last 7 or so games. 6. I think they won 6 games in a row. So there you go. Oh, it's a 9-game losing streak for Central against Harding. That is Harding Central. Let's go back up the road to the Apple Valley Classic. This was a classic last year with Matt Jeffrey just leading the Rams into the state playoffs with a just otherworldly performance. No playoffs at stake this time, however. Both teams have had their struggles. Southington 3-6, Cheshire 4-5. Southington does lead this series 22-13. Cheshire won that game last year 34-20. Been the struggle, but I don't know. What do you think, Scott? Does Cheshire win its 2nd in a row against the Blue Knights?
Yeah, I think Southington's record's a little deceiving. They played some close games against good teams. I just think Cheshire, coming out of the SEC, I think the SEC is just a tougher conference. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. Like you said, nothing really at stake other than bragging rights, but I like the Rams to win again.
Dave,
you look
Valley Classic.
Yeah, well, you look at the losses both of these teams have. They're all for the most part, they're all to really good teams, and a lot of those teams are going to the playoffs right now. So it is what it is. It's too bad they're not playing for something, but I look at this. I'm going to go with Cheshire in this one. I just feel like Cheshire's probably a slightly better team, not by a lot, but by just enough that I think they get over the top in this one.
Guys, I'm going to buck the trend. I'm going to go with Southington just on a hunch. Again, they've won this game. I think they won this game 10 years in a row, and then until last year. I think it was 2011 was the last time Cheshire won. I think they get the trend back, new coach and everything. I think their offense has been pretty good. Chester's defense on the other side has been really good, but I'm just on a hunch. I'm going to go with Southington. Okay, there you go. Moving down. We're getting to the end here. Moving down. The Carini Bowl. Lyman Hall at 5-4, trying to get to the state playoffs. Very, very slim outside shot. Sheehan, they've been there for years. 7-2. They're looking to get a top seed in the Class SS race and maybe get another crack at Killingly, but not without beating them. You don't want to lose to Lyman Hall, your rivals. Lyman Hall does lead this series by 26-24. 25. Sheehan's kind of dominated of late. What do you got? They haven't won, Lyman Hall since 2011. So let's go with you, Dave. Let's start with the Carini Bowl. Lyman Hall, can they pull it off?
It's going to be really a tough haul for them in this to get that back since I think it's first time since 2011. The thing is, when you look at Sheehan, they've got the 2 losses, and the 2 losses are to Prep and Killingly. And Killingly's undefeated. Prep has the 1 loss. And even in that Killingly game, Sheehan had the early lead and, probably could have won that game. So, I'm going to stick with Sheehan on this one.
Scott, who do you got in the Carini Bowl?
First of all, I love the name of the Carini Bowl. I think it might be my favorite name of all the bowls. But I think Sheehan's too good. I think they've had a really strong season. Lyman's been up and down. I don't think they have what it takes to beat Sheehan, so I like Sheehan here.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Sheehan's been one of the best small schools in the state this year for sure, and they dominate. I mean, Lyman Hall's gone back on the mend. We'll see how they do, but obviously I think Sheehan is looking like a state title contender in Class Double S. Going over to the Green Bowl. Now, speaking of which, Scott, I agree with you. All these games, you're going to play on Thanksgiving Day, they all need names. I mean, even
you need a name. You need a name, man.
Play the night before. Get a name. I know that. And the other thing is, what's better than this? Thanksgiving football. This is just great. This is amazing.
I love Thanksgiving. There is nothing better than Thanksgiving football, in my opinion.
Thanksgiving football. Just as we get to the last 3 here, the Green Bowl. Hamden has kind of actually done well against Notre Dame of late. They won last year's game 21-17. They only have 2 wins this year, but could finish the second half of their season with a winning record. They could finish 3-2 to end after starting 0-5, so that'd be great for Hamden. Notre Dame West Haven's been kind of up and down. They're up and down. They beat this team. They lose to that team. Guilford beat them, and then they beat North Haven. They have a chance, Notre Dame, to get back to the state playoffs since they won the state title a couple years ago. Very interesting matchup. We'll see. What do you got, Scott, in the Green Bowl, Hamden or Notre Dame West Haven?
I'm going to shake things up a little bit here and go Hamden. I think that a tough year for the Dragons gets salvaged here on Thanksgiving. Like you said, they've been playing a lot better down the stretch. And I think they're going to surprise some people here and upset Notre Dame West Haven's Thanksgiving Day and knock them out of the playoffs and win this one.
Dave.
You look at Hamden and Notre Dame West Haven. Notre Dame West Haven, like you said, has been all over the place, kind of with wins and losses. They beat North Haven by 1. They got crushed by Ludlow. Things like that. You look at Hamden's losses; they're all to good teams. They've got Prep in there. They've got Sheehan in there. They've got a lot of just really good teams in there. That being said, I think Notre Dame West Haven, they have the playoff spot to play for, and I feel like even with the up and down season, they get it done here, and so I'm going to go with Notre Dame West Haven.
Man, I wish I could take the plunge here, Scott, and take Hamden. I have a feeling I just can't do it. I can't pull the trigger here. I got to play a little defense on my picks right now, so I'm going to go with I just can't take the plunge. I'm going to go with Notre Dame as well to win the Green Bowl, get those green jerseys back. That's another great tradition. Whoever wins the game wears green jerseys the next time out, because they play the game every year at Joe Bruno Field in Hamden, for those of you who don't know that. Down to the last 2, we got the Elm City Bowl. Hill House, I saw last week, lose to East Haven. They had a shot to get into the Class Double M playoffs. However, it's not going to happen for them. They are 5-4, but with a chance to have a winning season. Listen, Hill House, earlier in the year, they lost their running back to a broken collarbone. They were looking like a team to beat. He lost it against Hand, and they only down in that game early 6-0. And Hand's been one of the best teams in the state. But Hill House it just didn't happen from this year. I like them maybe next year. Wilbur Cross lost to Harding last week in a squeaker, 22-14. Do they have they haven't been great, only 1 win all year. Do they have what it takes this year to beat Hill House? Let's go with you, Scott.
I don't think so. No disrespect to Wilbur Cross. I think Hill House is just having a really solid year. With Jackson at quarterback and Harris. They got some really talented kids there. I know they didn't make the playoffs, but that'll make them even hungrier here. I think Hill House wins this one fairly easily.
Dave, what do you got for the Elm City Bowl?
Yeah, I agree. This game lost some of its pop when Hill House lost East Haven on Saturday, but I don't feel like they're going to compound it and finish with a 5-5 record. I think they're going to want to finish with a winning record. They obviously have the talent to win this game, and I'm just going to take Hill House in this one.
And finally, we go to Stratford for the Manning E. Harvey Trophy. I always used to say the Harvey E. Manning. I always got those two first names. I always got it mixed up whenever I put it in the Connecticut Post, and Gino would be like, Sean, it's the Manning E. Harvey Trophy. Oh, sorry. Anyway, Bunnell at Stratford. Bunnell is 7-2, looking to go to the state playoffs. It wasn't that long ago, Stratford, which has been struggling this year, 1-8, but it wasn't that long ago, 2021, that Stratford actually beat Bunnell. But it hasn't been really Stratford's year, and Bunnell, not long ago, got wiped out by Newtown, but with a chance to get into the Class MM playoffs. I did see the guys out scouting Harding on Friday. Not Harding, excuse me, Wilbur Cross. They're anxious to get into the playoffs. You got to beat your rivals, though. And can Stratford pull off the upset? Let's start with you, Dave.
I've been burned in 3 games by Bunnell this year. I took Masuk over them, and then I took them over Brookfield and Newtown and lost all 3. So they've been a tough one for me. That being said, the Bulldogs. I think the Bulldogs are a solid team. I like Berto Torres in there. He's a great leader for them. Great, just a great football player. And I just don't see Stratford as having enough to overcome Bunnell in this one. So I'll go with the Bulldogs.
Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, Stratford got their win last week. That's great for them. I never like to see teams not win a game in the season, but Bunnell's going to win this game. Bunnell's having a good year. They're beating high-level teams. They're going to make the playoffs, I think. So I like Bunnell here pretty easily.
Yeah, I am going to agree with you. At Wethersfield, Bunnell will take care of business and go into the Class MM playoffs. Hopefully some of the injuries they've suffered in the second half of the season are all healed up. We shall see, and then we'll see how things go. That's a tough division. But, guys, that is it. That is not too many differences between us, but, we're all kind of chasing Dave right now at this point. So hopefully we can kind of get a few of our games to go our way against Dave and against Dan Brecklin. But this is where the picks are usually won or lost. And then we have the quarterfinal picks and the semifinal picks. But this is where you make your play, right? As you know,
I had to go with some YOLO picks here to try to make up some ground. So Let's go Green Dragons.
Yeah, I couldn't pull the trigger on that one. I do have a couple of different ones, but
throwing some Hail Marys in there.
Every week I got a few. Sometimes I hit, sometimes I don't. But
well, you'll be interested to know. I think let's see here. Brecklin picked Northwest Catholic. He picked Masuk. He picked, let's see here, Ledyard. That's a different one. So he picked New Canaan. He picked Staples. He picked St. Joe. He also picked, he picked Hampton too. Oh.
That's a smart pick.
So, yeah, but is that right? Did he pick Stratford? Is that right? He actually did that.
I'm just trying to hold off the 8-ball.
Oh, man. Oh, the 8-ball. The 8-ball, needs help. Anyway, guys, we got to get out of here. That's it's always a slog. It's always great. But listen, Thanksgiving Day week, but especially Thanksgiving Day football, the best day on the sporting calendar in Connecticut, at least for high school football, goes, according to me. Maybe the second best after the state championships over at Mohegan, I think. It's up there. It's one of the best, and I can't wait to get going. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see we'll need your services again next week, but I appreciate you guys jumping on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. It was fun.
Good luck. May you guys have good luck, but not too much, because I need to win. So, for Dave Stewart and Scott Erickson, I'm Sean Patrick Boley. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Meat Grinder Pick'ems Podcast hybrid episode on GameTimeCT.